Hey guys, so last summer I bought an HTC Vive, and recently I've been working on developing Unity applications for SteamVR. So this video is about my first little demo or interactive experience, which I call Plank Tower Destruction. A few years ago, I uploaded a render I made of this plank tower getting smashed by a ball in Blender. And recently, or in making this Unity app, I imported that blend file into Unity, and here I am playing the demo. So you can see I can shoot spheres and I can knock down the tower, but that's not all. I've added a few different little features, controls. So I have the top menu button set to reset the scene, so everything's back to how it was before here. I can scale the tower by holding the grip buttons and moving the controllers closer or farther away from each other. And while scaling, it actually freezes or sets the Unity timescale to 0, so that essentially freezes the physics simulation so that weird janky physics things don't happen when scaling, because I encountered those problems when doing that earlier without freezing the time scale. And also I've implemented a kind of slow motion or slow down, speed up time feature, so you can actually manipulate the flow of time, therefore the rate of the physics simulation, by moving your thumb along the thumb pad on the right controller. So depending on the X coordinate of your thumb on the thumb pad, it will change Unity's timescale and fixed delta time values to change the flow of time in the app. And of course, you can see that there are some, like I mentioned earlier, janky physics is a thing that's going on now. When going from regular timescale to slow timescale back to regular, weird things do occur. But if I make sure not to swap between them kind of randomly, I can get some cool matrix-looking results with slowdowns and whatnot, and slow motion planks falling on my face. So that's fun. So now into Unity editor itself. So here are the basic components of the app. We have the camera rig, which is just a SteamVR plugin prefab, which has the headset and the controllers and the play area and everything set out. And I have a plane as the ground. The projectile object I have is this metal sphere, and that is just one, which will be reinstantiated, or in like multiple instances will be created as prefabs when the trigger is clicked on the controllers. But yeah, that's the base one that I'm using. And here is the tower. So the tower, everything under that tower scale origin object. I actually have the light here. I don't think I need it in the tower's game object, so I'm going to go ahead and move it out. But yeah, that's the tower made of a lot of cubes. That's how it imported from Blender. Probably be better to use a single cube and just prefab everything, but yeah, they're all separate objects. Now getting to the actual controls, this game object has the control script attached to it, and I'm going to go ahead and open the controls and show you how everything works. So here we have our usual imports, scene management import, or using, whatever you want to call it. I'm a little used to Java and Python, so I'm calling them imports, but yeah, learning C# right now. So scene management is there so we can reload the scene by hitting the menu button. So then from there, a bunch of variables. Everything public is something I can assign in the Unity editor, so I can just drag objects into assign for like controller right, controller left. Public game object prefab, those are the projectiles that are duplicated. Stuff to scale is the tower and everything that gets scaled when scaling with the controllers. Float speed is just changing the velocity of the spheres with velocity, or like, well, no, not the velocity, the speed the spheres shoot at when instantiated. Separation 0, separation 1, and scale factor all used for scaling the tower. Original scale also used for scaling the tower and making sure that it doesn't go back to the scale it started at the beginning of the game when the grip buttons are released. And the touchpad float is used for the time scaling feature. So basically at the beginning of this, void awake, original scale. So the scale is set to whatever the scale is when the game starts. You create variables for the SteamVR controllers or the Vive controllers, whatever you want to call them. And basically these two if and else if statements say if trigger is pressed, instantiate a prefab of the projectile, and then give it a rigid body so it can be a physics object and shoot it forward with some speed multiplier. It does it on both right and left. That's why they're two statements. And then the next thing, so that's checking if you click on the menu button, and that just uses Scene Manager to reload everything. Next, checks if you touch, or it says touchdown, get touchdown. But yeah, if you click on the grip button, that sets the time scale to 0, which turns off the physics simulation because time's not moving, so no physics occurring or nothing going on. Separation 0, so this is the initial separation distance between the controllers is equal to basically the difference of their positions. Then if you continue holding the grip buttons, the separation for that frame is equal to their new position difference, the magnitude of their difference in position. And the scale factor is equal to the new separation divided by the original separation you had them at when you click the buttons, and then the scale of the tower and everything is equal to its original scale multiplied by the scale factor, which is equal to new distance separated over original. And basically that means like if you pull them farther apart, then you have farther apart over whatever they were before, means that the multiplier is going to be greater than 1, and it's going to make it bigger. Vice versa happens if you bring them closer together. So then if get touch up grip, so if you release the grip button, time scale is now 1, so it's back to normal. And then the original scale, so this value of the scale that it's modifying of the object is equal to the scale it is now. So like if I make it small and I release the grip buttons, it stays small instead of going back to the size it was when the scene started. And then it uses that original scale to scale later if you want to scale it again. Finally, we have time slow down speed up feature. So when you're moving your thumb around on the touchpad, it gets the X coordinate of your thumb on the touchpad, and then the time scale is multiplied by 1 plus that. So if you're in the center, that's 0, so that's 1 plus 0 is 1, so it doesn't change it. If you're on the right side, that's 1 plus 1. It works like a unit circle, so on the right, directly horizontally from the center, that would be 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2, so 2 times speed, and on the left it's -1, so 0 times the time scale of 1 will give you 0, so it basically freezes. If touchpad is less than or equal to 0, or if that like X value, X coordinate is less than or equal to 0, this is changing the fixed delta time, so that's just changing the amount of physics steps. So if you're slowing down time, if it's less than or equal to 0, then it's going to multiply the physics step time by whatever value, or like by 1 plus the X coordinate. So like say you're on the left side, you have like negative some decimal, you're going to basically multiply the fixed delta time, which dictates the number of physics steps per frame, I think. And yeah, that will just, if it's multiplied by some decimal value, then it's going to give you a smaller fixed delta time, which means more physics steps per frame, which will prevent choppy slow motion and instead give you smooth physics in slow motion. And then if the touchpad is greater than 0, or touchpad X coordinate value, whatever, greater than 0, then it just keeps fixed delta time at 2, just keeps having the same physics steps that it would normally have at a regular speed. I originally had no else if statement there, but I found that reducing physics steps when making it go faster just makes the physics even wonkier, so I have it just use the normal amount of physics steps. And then finally, if touchpad is released, so like touchpad's no longer being pressed, time scale is set to normal, and the fixed delta time is set to normal, so physics steps quantity is set to normal. So that's the Unity application. If you guys want, I can go ahead and compile or export, whatever the term is, a exe to share with you guys. If you guys have any, if you guys have like Vives or anything, you want to try it out. I mean, right now it's kind of pre-alpha, no texture or anything, but you know, if you just want to try this out, go ahead and ask in the comments. I can share with you guys. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.